Imagine your sister deliberately splashing Cabernet on your daughter's heirloom wedding dress at the conservatory reception, smirking while your mom defends her. Then you unleash viral justice through a food critic's live tweets, demolishing her reputation mid-event. Hit like if you think family betrayals deserve epic comeuppance. What happens next will blow your mind.
Thank you, Eliza, for having me. I've built my life on family and food, but tonight's story shows what happens when blood turns toxic. Let me tell you how it all unfolded. The crimson spreads across white silk like blood on snow, and I watch my sister's face transform from fake shock to barely concealed satisfaction. This is the moment I realize that Lola didn't just spill wine on my daughter's wedding dress. She declared war. "Oh my God, Kemi, I'm so sorry." Lola's voice hits that perfect pitch of manufactured panic, her hands fluttering uselessly as the Cabernet Sauvignon seeps deeper into the hand-beaded bodice. My daughter stands frozen, her brown eyes wide with disbelief, watching her grandmother's legacy dissolve into burgundy stains. I take a step forward, my chef's instincts kicking in, assess the damage, find the solution, fix what's broken. But before I can reach Kemi, my mother's iron grip clamps around my wrist. "Don't you dare make a scene, it was an accident." Falaik hisses, her perfectly manicured nails digging into my skin. Her voice carries that familiar edge of authority, the same tone she used when we were children, and I dared to question why Lola never faced consequences for her accidents. I look from my mother's grip to my sister's face, and something cold settles in my chest. Lola's mouth is saying all the right words. "I'll pay for cleaning. These things happen. I feel terrible, but her eyes are dancing. Actually dancing with joy." I take a slow breath, the way I learned to do during those brutal early years building my restaurant empire, when food critics tried to tear me down and competitors whispered that a Nigerian woman had no business revolutionizing fusion cuisine. I learned patience then. I learned to smile when I wanted to scream. So I smile now, and I nod. The smile doesn't reach my eyes. 6 months ago, Kemi and I stood in my restaurant's kitchen after closing, the dress spread across the steel prep table like a prayer. The late afternoon sun streamed through the windows, catching the intricate beadwork that transformed simple silk into something sacred. "Tell me about these again, Mama," Kemi whispered, her fingers tracing the delicate patterns along the neckline. Each bead was no bigger than a grain of rice, sewn with stitches so tiny they seemed impossible. I touched the elaborate collar, remembering your father's grandmother, Adunni, bent over this very dress in her final weeks. Kemi's paternal grandmother had insisted on adding traditional Nigerian beadwork to complement the modern silhouette, her arthritic fingers moving with surprising grace as she wove our family's story into silk and glass. "She told me each pattern means something," I said, pointing to the spiral designs that flowed from shoulder to waist. "This one represents the journey of life, all the twists and turns that brought your father and me together, that brought you into this world." Kemi's eyes filled with tears. I can feel her love in every stitch. "Grandmama Adunni put her whole heart into these stitches, baby. This dress carries 3 generations of love." I pulled my daughter close, breathing in the familiar scent of her shea butter hair cream. "When you walk down that aisle, you're carrying all of us with you." Now, watching wine seep through those sacred threads, I feel something break inside my chest. This isn't just fabric. This is family. This is legacy. This is everything Adunni poured into her final gift to her granddaughter. And Lola knew exactly what she was destroying. 3 months ago, I walked through the conservatory with Marcus Chen, my food critic friend, our footsteps echoing in the soaring glass space that would soon hold 200 of our closest family and friends. Sunlight filtered through the botanical gardens beyond, creating patterns on the marble floors that reminded me of the beadwork on Kemi's dress. "The acoustics in here are incredible," Marcus said, pulling out his phone to take notes. He was researching his book on family dynamics and food culture, and I'd agreed to let him document the wedding planning process. Very intimate despite the size. I nodded, but my mind was already choreographing the evening's flow. The cocktail hour starts here in the main hall. I'm thinking past hors d'oeuvres, nothing too heavy. Suya-spiced scallops, plantain and goat cheese crostini, those little jollof arancini that everyone goes crazy for. You're catering this yourself, Marcus raised an eyebrow. Imani, you could hire anyone in the city. I laughed, gesturing toward the intimate dining area where round tables would soon hold centerpieces of white orchids and trailing greenery. This isn't just catering, Marcus. This is my love letter to Kemi, written in smoked jollof risotto and suya-spiced scallops. The menu had taken me weeks to perfect, a fusion of traditional Nigerian flavors with modern techniques that told the story of our family's journey. Each dish represented something: the pepper soup shooters honoring my grandmother's recipe, the palm wine braised short ribs celebrating Kemi's father's heritage, the hibiscus poached pears that were Kemi's childhood favorite transformed into something elegant enough for her wedding day. The dinner service alone will cost more than most people's entire weddings, I admitted, running my hand along the silk table linens I'd special ordered from Lagos. But she's my only daughter, Marcus. She gets the best of everything. I had no idea that everything would include a front row seat to my sister's calculated cruelty. Back in the present moment, I watch Falek fuss over the stained dress, her voice rising in that familiar pattern of deflection and damage control. These things happen at weddings. Remember when your cousin spilled champagne on her own dress. We'll get this cleaned, it'll be fine. But I'm not listening to my mother anymore. I'm watching Lola. She stepped back from the chaos she created, and for just a moment, maybe 3 seconds, her mask slips. The corner of her mouth twitches upward. Not a smile exactly, but something close, something satisfied. That's when I noticed the angle. Lola had been standing to Kemi's left, wine glass in her right hand. To accidentally spill on the dress, she would have had to reach across her own body, extending her arm in an awkward arc that defied natural movement. But the stain pattern tells a different story, a deliberate splash, perfectly aimed at the most intricate beadwork, the area that would be impossible to clean without damaging a dunny's handiwork. That wasn't clumsiness, that was precision. My sister, who claims she can barely boil water, just executed a perfect strike against my daughter's most precious possession. And judging by the way she's now positioning herself near the gift table, phone in hand like she's documenting the accident, this moment was always part of her plan. The realization hits me like a punch to the stomach. This isn't spontaneous jealousy. This is premeditated sabotage. 15 minutes later, while Kemi disappears into the bridal suite with her bridesmaids and a collection of stain removal supplies that won't help, I excuse myself to check on the kitchen staff. But instead of heading toward the catering area, I slip behind the conservatory's massive fern display, close enough to hear, but hidden from view. Lola's voice carries clearly in the glass-walled space. She's talking to our cousin Bissy, their heads bent together in the kind of conspiratorial whisper that takes me back to childhood. Did you see her face? Lola's voice is bright with excitement. Miss Perfect finally gets a taste of reality. All that showing off with her fancy restaurant and her celebrity chef nonsense, and she can't even protect her own daughter's dress. Bissy makes a non-committal sound, but Lola continues, her voice gaining momentum. I've been planning this for months, ever since she announced she was catering the wedding herself. Like we're all supposed to be impressed that she can afford to throw away $50,000 on one party. My blood turns to ice. Months. She's been planning this for months. The dress was just the beginning, Lola continues, and I can hear the smile in her voice. Wait until you see what happens during the toasts. I've got some stories about our dear sister that these fancy friends of hers have never heard. I close my eyes, leaning against the cool glass wall for support. You think you know someone for 58 years, then they show you who they really are in a single moment. All those family dinners where I included her, all the times I hired her friends' kids for summer jobs at the restaurant, all the birthday gifts and Christmas bonuses and invitations to events where she could network with my connections. I thought I was being a good sister. Turns out I was feeding a snake. When I emerge from behind the ferns, the bridal party is in full crisis mode. Kemi's best friend is on the phone with 3 different dry cleaners. My mother is suggesting we postpone the ceremony, and someone has actually brought up the possibility of shopping for a new dress with 2 hours until the processional. We could try that boutique downtown, one of the bridesmaids suggests desperately. Maybe they have something in Kemi's size. Nothing will be as beautiful as this one, Kemi says quietly, holding up the stained fabric. Her voice is steady, but I can see the tears she's fighting back. Grandmama's beadwork can't be replaced. That's when I step forward, pulling out my phone with the calm efficiency that made me a Michelin-starred chef. Tewo, I say into the phone, bring up the garment bag from my car, the one in the trunk. The room goes silent. Even Lola stops her fake fretting to stare at me. 2 minutes later, my assistant appears with a black garment bag that I carefully unzip to reveal an identical dress. Same designer, same silk, same intricate beadwork, painstakingly recreated by the same artisan who taught Adunni her techniques. The collective gasp is audible. I'm a chef, I say simply, meeting each shocked face with calm satisfaction. We always plan for disasters, even family ones. Kemi's eyes fill with tears, happy ones this time. Mama, how did you? I ordered 2 dresses from the beginning, I explain, helping her lift the pristine gown from its protective covering. Your grandmother was too weak to bead both, but I found the woman who taught her, and she agreed to recreate the patterns. Every bead, every stitch, exactly as Adunni intended. I don't look at Lola, but I can feel her shock radiating across the room like heat from an oven. 20 minutes later, Kemi emerges from the bridal suite in the backup dress, looking exactly as radiant as she was supposed to look. The crisis is over, the timeline is back on track, and the guests are none the wiser. But Lola can't let it go. Well, she says, loud enough for the lingering family members to hear, I guess some people are so paranoid they pack extra dresses. Must be exhausting, always expecting the worst from people. The words hang in the air like smoke from a grease fire. Several cousins shift uncomfortably, and I see my mother's warning look. But I'm done pretending this is about paranoia or accidents or anything other than what it really is. This attack on my daughter is really an attack on me. Every slight, every snide comment, every moment of barely concealed resentment over the years has been building to this. Lola didn't spill wine on Kemi's dress. She declared war on everything I've built, everything I've achieved, everything I represent in our family. She wants to humiliate me in front of 200 guests at my daughter's wedding. She wants to turn the most important day of Kemi's life into a battlefield. Fine, let's fight. I walk over to where Lola stands, my heels clicking against the marble with the steady rhythm of a countdown. When I'm close enough that only she can hear me, I lean in and smile. The same smile I used on food critics who underestimated me, on investors who thought a Nigerian woman couldn't run a restaurant empire, on every person who ever bet against me and lost. You want to play games at my daughter's wedding? I whisper, my voice silk over steel. Then let's play. But remember, Lola, I've been cooking longer than you've been scheming, and I never serve a dish I haven't perfected. Her face goes pale, but I'm already walking away, pulling out my phone to make a call that will change everything. The wedding is about to become much more interesting. By 5:15 p.m., the first wave of guests begins arriving, and I slip into the role I've perfected over decades of high-pressure service, the gracious hostess who makes everything look effortless. I adjust my custom apron, the one Kemi had made for me with adinkra symbols embroidered in gold thread over my elegant burgundy gown, and greet each arrival with the warm smile that built my reputation. Mrs. Adebyo, everything looks absolutely stunning, gushes Kemi's college roommate, air-kissing my cheeks. I can't believe you're catering this yourself. It's my pleasure, I respond, meaning every word despite the wine stain incident still burning in my chest. Kemi deserves nothing but the best. But as I guide guests toward the cocktail station, where my jollof arancini and suya-spiced scallops await, I notice Lola has positioned herself strategically near the entrance. She's changed into a flowing emerald dress that complements her complexion perfectly, and she's holding court with arriving relatives like she's the hostess of this event. Oh, you just missed all the drama, I hear her telling Uncle Emeka and his wife. Poor Imani is so stressed she's seeing conspiracies everywhere. She just accused me of spilling wine on purpose and is demanding I pay for the dress, at her own daughter's wedding. Uncle Emeka's eyebrows rise. Accused you, but it was clearly an accident. That's what I tried to tell her, but you know how she gets when things aren't perfect. Lola's voice carries that perfect blend of concern and disappointment. Wedding stress makes people say crazy things, doesn't it? I watch from across the room as several relatives nod sympathetically, their eyes finding me with new wariness. In 30 seconds, Lola has transformed me from the gracious mother of the bride into an unstable woman making wild accusations against her innocent sister. The worst part, I can't defend myself without proving her point. At 5:45 p.m., I escape to my sanctuary, the professional kitchen I've commandeered for the evening. Here, surrounded by the familiar rhythm of prep work and the comforting smell of my signature spice blends, I can finally breathe. My sauce supreme for the main course needs final adjustments, and cooking has always been my meditation. I taste the velvety reduction, noting the perfect balance of palm wine and aromatics that took me 3 years to perfect. The sauce that food critics have called transcendent, the one that earned my restaurant its 3rd Michelin star. Everything is exactly as it should be. Miss Imani, Tewo appears at my elbow. The canapé arrangement for table 12, they want to know if you approve the presentation. I glance at my sauce, then at the clock. 30 seconds. Keep stirring this exactly like I showed you. Don't let it reduce too much. Yes, ma'am. I hurry to the plating station, where my team has arranged the plantain and goat cheese crostini in perfect spirals. Beautiful work, but rotate that garnish 45 degrees. Yes, like that. Perfect. When I return to my sauce, Tewo is nowhere to be seen. I lift the spoon to taste, and my mouth fills with salt. Brutal, overwhelming salt that makes me gag and reach for water. This isn't a seasoning mistake. This is sabotage. My eyes scan the kitchen frantically, and I spot Lola near the exit, casually wiping her hands on a napkin. When our eyes meet, she offers me the smallest, most knowing smirk I've ever seen before disappearing through the doorway. Oh, her voice floats back as she pauses in the threshold. I was just admiring your setup, sister, though this sauce tastes a little bland. I thought maybe it needed more seasoning, but what do I know about perfection? My hands shake as I stare at the ruined sauce, hours of work destroyed in seconds. The main course for 200 guests, and I have less than 2 hours to start over. While I frantically work to salvage what I can and start a new batch of sauce, Lola reappears in the kitchen like a poison spreading through my sanctuary. She moves through my space with casual confidence, making seemingly innocent observations to my catering staff. 20 years I've worked for Miss Imani, I overhear Tewo telling one of the servers, and I've never seen her this scattered. Family pressure, you know. I look up from my emergency sauce preparation to see Lola nodding sympathetically at my sous chef. Some people think they're too good for their own family, she says with a theatrical sigh. All this perfection pressure, it's not healthy. Is everything okay, chef? Asks Maria, my pastry specialist, her voice uncertain. You seem really stressed tonight. The doubt in her voice cuts deeper than any food critic's harsh review. These people have worked with me for years, have seen me handle far worse crises with calm efficiency. But Lola's poison is working, turning my own team against me with carefully planted seeds of concern. Everything is fine, I say firmly, tasting my new sauce base. Just the usual wedding day adjustments. But I can see it in their faces, the way they exchange glances when they think I'm not looking, the hesitation before following my instructions. Lola has turned my professional kitchen into a space where my own authority is questioned. She's not just sabotaging my food. She's sabotaging my reputation, one whispered doubt at a time. At 6:20 p.m., Marcus Chen appears in the kitchen doorway, his journalist's eyes taking in the controlled chaos of dinner preparation. He's arrived early to observe the service for his book research, but I can see his instincts kicking in as he watches Lola work the room. Interesting family dynamics, he murmurs to me as he passes, his voice low enough that only I can hear. Very educational. I pause in my sauce preparation, meeting his eyes. Marcus has spent his career studying family systems and power structures. If anyone can recognize predatory behavior, it's him. Marcus, I start, but he's already moving away, his phone discreetly recording audio as he positions himself where he can observe without interfering. For the first time since the wine incident, I feel a spark of hope. Marcus sees what's happening. He understands that this isn't wedding stress or sibling rivalry, this is calculated psychological warfare. But as I watch Lola charm another group of my staff members, I realize that having a witness might not be enough. The damage is spreading too fast, and I'm running out of time to contain it. By 6:50 p.m., the first course service begins, and the wedding timeline becomes a countdown to disaster. I have less than 2 hours before the toasts, before Lola's promised revelation of stories about our dear sister that these fancy friends have never heard. As I watch my servers carry out the pepper soup shooters to appreciative guests, I feel the weight of Lola's escalating campaign pressing down on me like a physical force. I can see her across the conservatory, positioned strategically near the gift table, her confidence growing with each passing moment. The wedding structure that should be protecting this celebration has become my prison. I can't make a scene during service. I can't confront her publicly without proving her narrative about my instability. And with every passing minute, she's gaining more confidence, more ammunition, more opportunities to destroy everything I've built. The timeline that should be leading to my daughter's perfect moment is instead counting down to my public humiliation. At 7:15 p.m., desperation drives me to seek out our mother. Surely Falik will see reason, will help me contain Lola's escalating behavior before it destroys Kemi's wedding entirely. I find her in the conservatory's quiet alcove, adjusting her elaborate jewel and checking her reflection in her compact mirror. At 78, she still carries herself with the regal bearing that made her the unofficial matriarch of our extended family. "Mama," I say, sitting beside her on the velvet bench. "We need to talk about Lola. She's planning something for the toasts, something that could ruin." "I know," Falik interrupts, snapping her compact closed. The words hit me like cold water. "You know." She told me about her little speech weeks ago. My mother's voice is matter-of-fact, as if we're discussing the weather. "About time, someone reminded you that you're not better than the rest of us." I stare at her, this woman who raised me, who taught me to cook, who should be protecting her granddaughter's wedding day. "Mama," she sabotaged the dress. She ruined my sauce. She's turning my staff against me. "So what if she did?" Falik's voice rises, and for the first time I see the resentment she's been hiding for years. "It is just food, Imani. You have everything, the awards, the fame, this palace. She has nothing. Can you not let her have this one little thing?" The betrayal is so complete, so devastating, that I can't speak. My own mother, the woman who once proudly displayed every newspaper review of my restaurant, now sees my success as something I should apologize for. This one little thing is my daughter's wedding. This one little thing is the culmination of everything I've worked for. This one little thing is my reputation, my relationships, my legacy. And my mother thinks I should sacrifice it all to feed my sister's jealousy. I stand up slowly, my legs unsteady. I see. "Good," Falik says, returning to her compact mirror. "Then we understand each other." As I walk away, I realize I'm truly alone in this fight. Lola has my mother's blessing, my staff's doubt, and a room full of guests who will soon hear whatever poison she's prepared to serve with the wedding cake. But she's made one crucial mistake. She's pushed me past the point of caring about family harmony or taking the high road. Now she's about to learn what happens when you declare war on a Michelin-starred chef who has nothing left to lose. I lean against the cold glass wall of the conservatory, watching my perfectly orchestrated dinner service continue while my world crumbles around me. The smoked jollof risotto receives enthusiastic applause from table 6. Uncle Tund raises his wine glass in appreciation at table 12. The servers move with balletic precision between tables, executing the choreography I spent months perfecting. Everything is beautiful, everything is flawless, everything is exactly as I planned. And I'm dying inside. Through the transparent walls, I can see Lola holding court near the gift table, her emerald dress catching the light as she gestures animatedly to a growing circle of relatives. Even from this distance, I can read the body language, the sympathetic nods, the concerned glances in my direction, the way people lean in closer when she speaks. She's poisoning them, one by one, and there's nothing I can do to stop it without proving every word she's saying about my instability. The irony isn't lost on me. I built my culinary empire on the foundation of family recipes, family traditions, family love. Every dish I've ever created carries the DNA of generations of women who taught me that food is how we show care, how we build community, how we say, "I love you," without words. But what do you do when the family becomes the poison? My reflection stares back at me from the glass, a woman in an elegant burgundy gown and custom apron, looking every inch the successful chef and proud mother. But behind my eyes, I see the truth that no one else can. I'm fighting alone, and my own family actively wants me to lose. I built my life thinking family was the foundation. I whisper to my reflection. What do you do when you discover the foundation was quicksand all along? The question hangs in the air like smoke from a dying fire. At 7:45 p.m., I spot Emeka approaching through the crowd, Lola's eldest son, the one who used to spend summers in my restaurant kitchen learning knife skills and flavor profiles. He's 28 now, a successful architect with kind eyes and his father's gentle manner. Of all my nephews, he's always been the most level-headed, the peacemaker. Hope flickers in my chest like a match struck in darkness. "Auntie Imani," he says softly, his voice carrying genuine concern. "Are you okay? You look tired," I finish, managing a weak smile. "It's been a long day." He glances around, then steps closer, lowering his voice. "I wanted to talk to you about Mom, some of the things she's been saying tonight." My heart leaps. Finally, someone who sees what's happening, someone who might help me navigate this nightmare before it destroys Kemi's perfect day. "Emeka, I'm so glad you. Mom sent me to tell you to stop being dramatic and just get through tonight." He cuts me off, his voice suddenly flat and rehearsed. "She says you're embarrassing the family with all this paranoia about accidents." The words hit me like a physical blow. I stare at this young man I helped raise, whose college tuition I quietly supplemented when his father's business struggled, whose girlfriend I hired for her first real job at my restaurant. I thought maybe, I start then stop, the hope dies as quickly as it sparked, but you're just another messenger, aren't you? Emeka has the grace to look ashamed, but he doesn't deny it. "Just get through tonight, Auntie, for Kemi's sake." He walks away, leaving me more alone than before. Even the next generation has chosen sides, and I'm not on the winning team. At 8:00 p.m., as I watch my smoked jollof risotto being served to delighted guests, I survey the glasshouse conservatory that once felt magical, but now feels like an elegant arena designed for my public execution. The soaring glass walls that should showcase beauty now feel like prison bars made of crystal. Every angle offers perfect sightlines, nowhere to hide, nowhere to retreat, nowhere to lick my wounds in private. 200 witnesses sit at perfectly appointed tables, their conversations creating a gentle hum of satisfaction and celebration. The lighting I chose to be romantic now feels like stage illumination, ensuring that every moment of my coming humiliation will be clearly visible to every guest. The architectural details I once admired, the way sound carries in the space, the intimate acoustics that make every whisper audible, now work against me. When Lola takes that microphone, her words will reach every corner, every table, every person whose respect I've spent decades earning. "Even the architecture is against me," I murmur, watching a server refill water glasses with practiced efficiency. 200 witnesses in a glass box and nowhere to hide. The conservatory's beauty has become a weapon, and I'm trapped at the center of it all, dressed in my finest clothes and wearing my brightest smile while my sister prepares to destroy everything I've built. But as I stand there, something shifts in my chest, a recognition, a crystallization. If this is going to be a performance, then I need to remember who I am. I'm not just a victim in this glass box. I'm a chef who survived food critics, business rivals, and every person who ever bet against me. And I'm about to remember how to fight back. At 8:15 p.m., as the main course concludes and I see Lola testing the microphone at the head table, something crystallizes in my mind with perfect clarity. My eyes sweep the room and land on table 8, where Marcus Chen sits with his journalist's notebook, observing everything with the sharp attention that made him the city's most respected food critic. Marcus, who's writing a book about family dynamics and power structures. Marcus, who arrived early specifically to document this evening. Marcus, who's been watching Lola's behavior with the keen eye of someone who recognizes predatory patterns. Marcus, who has 40,000 Twitter followers and a weekly column that can make or break reputations with a single review. The realization hits me like lightning. I've been thinking like a victim when I should be thinking like a strategist. Lola wants to make this a public spectacle. She wants to destroy my reputation in front of 200 witnesses. Fine, let's talk about reputations. I pull out my phone and scroll to Marcus's contact, my fingers steady for the first time all evening. If my sister wants to weaponize this wedding, she's about to learn that I have weapons too. Better weapons. Professional weapons that can reach far beyond this glass conservatory. You want to make this a performance, Lola? I whisper, watching her adjust the microphone stand with the confidence of someone who thinks she's already won. Then, let's give them a show worth remembering. The victim in me dies in that moment, replaced by something harder, sharper, infinitely more dangerous. I'm done trying to minimize damage or preserve family harmony. I'm done protecting people who want to destroy me. Now I'm going to protect myself, and my daughter, and everything I've built. The war Lola started is about to end, but not the way she planned. At 8:25 p.m., I slip into a quiet alcove behind the towering fern display, my heart pounding with purpose instead of panic. The text I compose is simple, professional, and devastating in its implications. Marcus, change of plans. The story isn't the food tonight. It's the family dynamics in real time, full permission to document and publish. Code word, review. My finger hovers over the send button for exactly 3 seconds. Once I press this, there's no going back. No family dinners where we pretend everything is fine. No Christmas gatherings where we smile for photos. No more protecting Lola from the consequences of her choices. I press send. The response comes back in less than 30 seconds. Understood, already recording. This is going to be educational. I slip my phone back into my apron pocket, feeling lighter than I have all evening. For months, I've been playing defense, trying to protect my daughter's wedding from my sister's jealousy. But defense only works when your opponent has limits. Lola has no limits. She's proven that tonight. So now we play offense. I emerge from the alcove to see Marcus discreetly repositioning himself at table 8, his phone now openly recording, his notebook ready. Several other guests notice his sudden attention and follow his gaze toward the head table where Lola is making final adjustments to the microphone. When a critic comes to observe excellence, I murmur, smoothing my apron and checking my reflection in the glass wall, sometimes they end up documenting something else entirely. The trap is set. Now I just need to let my sister walk into it. At 8:40 p.m., disaster strikes with the precision of a knife through silk. Lola suddenly stands and grabs the microphone as the main course plates are being cleared, just before dessert service is scheduled to begin. The movement catches everyone off guard, including me. Ladies and gentlemen, her voice rings out through the conservatory's perfect acoustics. I know speeches usually come later, but I have something special to share about my dear sister. The timing is devastating. Dessert hasn't been served. The official toasts aren't scheduled for another 30 minutes. This is completely off script, catching me when I thought I had time to prepare, time to position myself, time to control the narrative. But Lola has been planning this longer than I realized. She's striking early to maintain the element of surprise, to catch me flat-footed, to ensure I have no chance to counter whatever poison she's about to pour into my daughter's wedding. The room falls silent, 200 faces turning toward the head table with the polite attention reserved for wedding speeches. They have no idea they're about to witness an execution. I stand frozen by the kitchen entrance, my hands gripping the doorframe so tightly my knuckles turn white. This is it. This is the moment she destroys everything. Ladies and gentlemen, I know speeches usually come later, but I have something special to share about my dear sister. Lola's voice carries perfectly through the glass space, sweet as honey and twice as deadly. The impossible complication crashes over me like a wave. She's early. She's prepared. She has the microphone and the audience and the perfect timing to catch me completely unprepared. But as I watch her smile spread across her face, I realize something that sends ice through my veins and fire through my heart simultaneously. She has no idea what she's just walked into. The game has changed, and I'm about to show her exactly how much. As Lola begins her surprise speech with saccharine words about my dear sister who's always been so, particular about perfection, I watch Marcus at table 8 pull out his phone with the casual efficiency of a professional. His eyes meet mine across the conservatory, and I see the moment he understands the signal completely. You know, I've watched Imani my whole life, Lola continues, her voice carrying perfectly through the glass space, always so concerned with appearances, with making everything look just so. Marcus's fingers move across his phone's screen, and I can see him positioning the device to capture both audio and the perfect angle of Lola at the microphone. His journalist instincts are fully activated now, recognizing that he's witnessing something far more significant than a wedding toast. I thought the story was the food. I hear him murmur to the guest beside him, his voice just loud enough to carry. I was wrong. The real story is the poison being served between courses. The woman next to him, Dr. Patricia Williams, the food anthropologist, leans forward with sudden interest. Are you recording this? Every word, Marcus replies, his phone now openly documenting everything as Lola continues her character assassination disguised as sisterly affection. This is going to be educational. I feel the first spark of hope I've had all evening. Marcus sees exactly what's happening, and more importantly, he's creating a permanent record of it. Whatever Lola thinks she's accomplishing with this performance, she's actually providing evidence of her own malice to one of the city's most respected journalists. While Lola continues her speech, systematically undermining my character with surgical precision, Marcus discreetly records audio on his phone and focuses his attention on the reactions at nearby tables. I watch him noting the exchanged glances and whispered comments, his trained eye catching every microexpression of discomfort and recognition. Some people think success changes you, Lola says into the microphone, her smile never wavering. But I remember when Imani was just a girl who burned rice and thought she was better than everyone else's cooking. At table 7, I see Marcus lean slightly toward the conversation happening behind him. Mrs. Chen, no relation, just unfortunate timing, whispers to her husband, "Oh, Lola's always been competitive with Imani. Remember when she accidentally invited Imani's ex-boyfriend to her graduation dinner?" Marcus's eyebrows rise as he captures this revelation, his phone positioned to record the organic commentary flowing from guests who are finally connecting dots they never noticed before. The very audience Lola hoped to turn against me is instead providing testimony about her pattern of sabotage. And then there was the restaurant opening, adds another voice from table 9. Lola showed up with food poisoning and spent the whole night in the bathroom, but somehow managed to tell every food blogger there that Imani's hygiene standards were questionable. I watch Marcus's expression shift from professional interest to barely contained outrage as he realizes the scope of what he's documenting. This isn't just wedding drama, it's a masterclass in psychological abuse, playing out in real time with a room full of witnesses who are finally ready to speak the truth. This is just like she was at Imani's restaurant opening, someone mutters from table 12, loud enough for Marcus's phone to capture. Always has to make everything about her own grievances. As Lola's speech grows more vicious, her mask slipping with each carefully crafted insult, Marcus posts a link to his publication's website with the title, Live, an unscheduled review from the conservatory. I watch him type with the rapid precision of someone who knows exactly how to weaponize social media for maximum impact. His first tweet reads, "I came for the food, I'm staying for the family drama, a live article on what happens when jealousy is the main course. Link, anti-Lola." Within minutes, his live article gains massive traction. I can see other guests checking their phones, their faces lighting up with recognition as they realize they're witnessing something that's already going viral. The hashtag #anti-Lola begins appearing in whispered conversations as people start connecting Marcus's real-time documentation with what they're witnessing firsthand. Live article, Currently watching a masterclass in family sabotage, Marcus types, his words appearing on screens throughout the conservatory as guests share the link. The sister is literally using the bride's wedding as a platform to destroy the chef who catered it. This is sociopathy in formal wear. The power shift is palpable. What began as Lola's carefully planned character assassination is transforming into her own public trial, with Marcus serving as both prosecutor and judge. Every word she speaks is being documented, analyzed, and broadcast to an audience far beyond this glass conservatory. I see guests at multiple tables now openly watching Marcus as much as they're listening to Lola, understanding that they're part of something that will be remembered long after the wedding cake is cut. The very publicity Lola craved is destroying her, one viral tweet at a time. As Marcus's article explodes across social media with thousands of shares, guests throughout the conservatory begin recognizing they're witnessing a live documented event. I watch phones emerge from purses and pockets as people realize they're part of a story that's already trending nationwide. The hashtags anti-Lola and toxic family begin appearing in conversations I can overhear, and several guests are now discreetly filming their own footage, understanding they're documenting something historically significant in the realm of family dysfunction. Update: the bride's aunt just said, "Success doesn't give you the right to think you're better than your blood," Marcus tweets, his followers climbing by the hundreds with each post. "Ma'am, this is a wedding. Read the room. Wedding from hell." I see Dr. Williams pull out her own phone, adding academic commentary to the viral storm. Witnessing textbook narcissistic sabotage at a wedding. The perpetrator has no idea she's being documented by at Marcus Chen Eats. This is going in my next paper. Toxic family. The avalanche effect is breathtaking. Food industry professionals, family therapists, and social media influencers are all retweeting Marcus's live coverage. Lola's voice continues through the microphone, but she's lost control of the narrative completely. The audience she thought she was manipulating has become the jury that's convicting her in real time. Breaking: wedding guest live tweets family sabotage as it happens, reads a retweet from a major news account. Thread is absolutely wild. Anti-Lola. The viral storm has reached critical mass, and Lola still has no idea that her moment of triumph has become her permanent destruction. Lola's triumphant speech begins to falter as she notices the sea of phones pointed at her, the whispered conversations, the way guests are looking at their screens instead of listening to her words. Her confidence wavers for the first time all evening as she realizes something has shifted in the room's energy. Is everything all right?" she asks into the microphone, her voice losing its practiced sweetness. That's when Marcus stands up from table 8, his phone still recording, his journalist's authority commanding the room's attention. "By a show of hands," he says clearly, his voice carrying without amplification, "who here is surprised by Auntie Lola's behavior tonight?" Not a single hand rises. The silence is deafening. Marcus continues, reading selected quotes from his viral article. "According to my Twitter followers, now numbering in the tens of thousands, family sabotage at weddings is where we draw the line as a society. Several licensed therapists have already diagnosed this behavior as textbook narcissistic abuse." Lola's face goes white as she realizes what's happening. "You can't just, this is private family business." "Ma'am," Marcus interrupts, his phone capturing her desperate protests, "you made it public the moment you grabbed that microphone. The internet has spoken, and apparently family sabotage at weddings is where we draw the line as a society." I watch my sister's world crumble in real time as she understands that her moment of triumph has become her permanent humiliation, broadcast to an audience that will never forget her name or her crimes against family loyalty. As guests begin departing, phones buzzing with notifications about the viral story they've just witnessed, a socially destroyed Lola approaches me for what she doesn't yet realize will be our final confrontation. Her emerald dress is wrinkled, her makeup smeared, her confidence completely shattered. "Why would you do this to me?" she demands, her voice breaking. "I'm your sister." That's when I reveal the final twist, the piece of justice she never saw coming. Marcus's upcoming book will now feature an entire chapter based on this night, I say calmly, watching her face crumble further. He's calling it the bitter root, a study in family sabotage. Your behavior tonight will be immortalized forever, Lola. Academic case study. Required reading in family therapy programs. The horror in her eyes is complete as she realizes the scope of her destruction. This isn't just social media embarrassment that will fade in a week. This is permanent documentation of her cruelty, preserved in academic literature for generations of students to study. You tried to ruin my daughter's wedding, I continue, my voice steady as steel. So I destroyed your reputation before the cake was even cut. You are a story now, Lola, my story. She opens her mouth to respond, but no words come. What can she say? Every guest witnessed her behavior. Every word was recorded. Every moment of her malice is now preserved in digital amber, ready to be shared and reshared whenever someone needs an example of how not to treat family. You wanted to make a scene in my world, Lola, I say, turning away from her forever. So I gave you a permanent exhibit. As the last guests depart and the viral storm continues raging online, I find myself back in the bridal suite helping Kemi out of the backup dress. My daughter's eyes are bright with tears, but they're tears of pride, not pain. Mama, she says softly, I saw what happened out there. I saw how you handled it. I smooth her hair, breathing in the familiar scent of her shea butter cream. Some battles choose you, baby, but how you fight them, that's your choice. I was so scared she was going to ruin everything, Kemi admits, stepping out of the dress carefully. But instead, she just showed everyone who she really is. I hang the dress with reverent care, thinking about Grandmama Adunni's beadwork, about legacy and love, and the stories we pass down through generations. You know what the most beautiful part is? Tomorrow, when people remember your wedding, they won't remember her speech. They'll remember how justice served itself. Kemi hugs me tightly, and I feel the weight of the evening finally lifting from my shoulders. My daughter's wedding day is ending exactly as it should, with love, with truth, and with the knowledge that family isn't just about blood. It's about who stands with you when the world tries to tear you down. Some people spend their whole lives trying to tear others down, I whisper into her hair, but all they really do is show the world who they are. In a final moment of poetic justice, Kemi and I finally cut the wedding cake together in the empty conservatory, the viral storm still raging in the digital world beyond these glass walls. The three-tier masterpiece I created, layers of Nigerian honey cake with palm wine buttercream and hibiscus flowers, stands untouched and perfect, waiting for this moment. Make a wish, baby, I tell her as we position the silver knife together. I don't need to, she laughs, her joy finally uninhibited. Everything I wanted already came true. As we cut the first slice, Marcus approaches with his phone, but this time he's not documenting drama, he's capturing the sweetness that follows justice. Final update for the thread, he says with a grin. Major news outlets are picking up the story. Lola's workplace has already seen the coverage, and somehow, despite everything, the bride got her perfect moment. I feed Kemi a bite of cake, watching her face light up with delight at the flavors I spent months perfecting. This is what tonight was supposed to be about: love, celebration, the passing of traditions from one generation to the next. You know what the best part is? I say, savoring my own bite of the cake that survived everything. Justice is a dish best served at exactly the right temperature, and tonight it was perfect. The conservatory's glass walls reflect our images back to us, a mother and daughter sharing cake in an empty ballroom, surrounded by the evidence of a celebration that survived every attempt to destroy it. Tomorrow, the viral story will fade into internet history. But this moment, this victory, this proof that love wins over jealousy, this will last forever.
Imani, thank you for sharing this raw tale of betrayal and brilliant revenge, proving that when family sabotage strikes on your daughter's big day, exposing the truth can serve justice sweeter than any cake. It reminds us all that true family stands with you against the poison. Was Imani justified in going viral? Tell us below, and if this hit home, like and subscribe for more. I'm Eliza Quinn, and remember, here on Wedding Day Justice, veils off, justice on.